got it on my list. I guess, must be. Are we ready? We all please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we do have a quorum. Thank everybody for being here. I'd like to open it up with public comment.
Yes, can I speak?
Yes.
I understand you got 2 vacancies on the Housing Authority Board now.
Yes, that is correct.
I would urge you to do something different than you've done in the past, which is just take the Housing Authority's recommendation, approve it without looking at anything. Once you throw an ad in the paper asking people if they want to participate in local government by being a Housing Authority Commissioner, then maybe you won't run into problems.
Volunteer?
No, I'm not volunteering. That's the last thing I need to be the Housing Authority Commissioner.
It's on my list.
All right. The other thing is deals with wind farms. I think the last thing you guys want is if you pass an ordinance that's not sufficient with setbacks and decibels, I think the last thing you want is families coming to you complaining that they have sleep deprivation because they can't sleep in their own house that they've lived in for 20 and 30 and 40 years. That's happened in other counties, which is why other counties are redoing their ordinances, increasing setbacks, because when the wind turbines first started at 150, 200 feet, they weren't really a problem. Now that they're getting up to 300, 400, 500, 600 feet, it's creating a problem. And there's tons of counties and municipalities that are just outright banning, and I don't think you can do that in Illinois, but they're outright banning them in other states and other municipalities from even moving into a new area. So that was it. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Andy? Smart Watt?
Not a lot.
Center?
Yeah. I guess that everybody's got this in their emails, what their schedule is. And this is this the updated one?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that,
About right.
This is the one, because they had some problems with
well, yes,
getting
that's,
materials and
that's the
things.
updated one.
This is
The
the
most
updated
recent one he just sent out to us.
29, so, I mean, everybody's got on here which the start date, the anticipated start date, anticipated finish date. So, I guess they'll be starting, basically looks like 1/27, the annex. And that's mainly, the main thing they'll be starting on is lighting. I think most of my understanding is most of their lighting equipment is out here. So it goes from basically, well, they've already done the building envelope, and we've been billed for that. Which took them a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. And then it'll go through basically now through April, the end of April. So this is what their anticipated schedule is. We did get a bill from them, right, Augie?
Yes, $163,000 or $7,000.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was for equipment that hasn't been installed yet, correct?
Right. And the building envelope that they completed.
Right.
And that was just like ESDA and the health department?
No, it
Warehouse.
was all of the building envelope. There was some, got it. Did they do some work at the courthouse too, correct? Augie on the building envelope,
Yes, they did.
ceiling,
Yes.
doors,
All
and
the doors.
they went around the
They've been
jails.
all-
We were
They've been all of them.
okay.
Mhm.
So, and the amount was, there was 4,000 in material, 12,890 in labor. So that portion of it's done. And then there's a 116,569. And I had Chuck, I said, tell me exactly what that includes, because I'm gonna be asked for it. It's part of the, it includes mobilization, which is all the preparatory, a lot of the preparatory work that they did. I mean, they were here for 2 or 3 months doing monitoring. They had their engineers here a lot, so that was preparatory work, mobilization. Equipment supply, including but not limited to necessary for the movement of smart watch or subcontractors, personnel, equipment, supplies, and incidentals to the project site, and for all other work and operations which must be performed or cost incurred prior to beginning work on the various items on the project site, including cost of all pre-development. Okay. So basically, kind of sounds to me like a lot of that is smart watts portion of the project. And the majority of the rest of these are what the contractors will get for.
How are we paying for this? When we get a bill, how is it paid?
We've got a note basically, Augie.
Yeah, we have a, it's like a line of credit, if you will,
And it just draws off of that.
and we draw off of that. There's some paperwork involved that
Nothing's involved.
flows through all that.
Right.
Can I ask a question? We talked, and you said you were gonna look into it about including the first floor of the old jail in updating how we're gonna do it, because Ori said there's some flexibility in there.
Yeah.
How are we approaching that?
Well, I asked Ori, he said he'd get back with me, he hadn't yet. I'll get back with him, try and get something by
It's kind of
Wednesday.
important.
It is.
Well, I noticed that according to their time thing, the end of the month, they're gonna start on the water valves at the jail.
Okay,
So we
Actually,
need to-
prior to doing the lighting at the jail. So we need to kind of know what's going on with that, whether, how much we want them to do there.
Right.
According to this, they've got them, it's scheduled for basically the month of February for the water.
So we haven't got much time to make decisions and involve what we want involved.
okay.
Remind me what the scope of the project as advertised was for the jail, what was the final iteration?
Well, we just,
Signed off on.
at this point, what we decided was the new part of the jail, they put the new valves, lighting things in the newer part of the jail. We hadn't said anything about the older part. We didn't know what the status was at that point in time. But now,
At the December meeting, we
said,
said,
why don't we ask Ori what it
Sure,
would,
yeah, I just
what it would
wanted
take to
to
get the
recap.
old
Yeah.
part of the downstairs, that's
Right.
what you're in.
and if we have to fend it a different way or whatever we have to do, we need to make it so, if that's what we wanna do.
Okay.
And I think that's what we wanna do, but
So basically, it would be strictly lighting and valves.
Lighting and valves,
some electrical.
electrical. We did decide that we were gonna have the painting and things down on the,
We've got a final
The entire part.
decision where we're gonna deal with that,
okay,
okay?
good. Have the welders, has Larry Hornbrook been in?
Yeah, he came in the other day and he started, we've taken the one basin out of, the concrete basin out of the one shower that for some reason drained outside the shower, which, that's regardless, but we've had that all taken out, and then he's coming in to move the drain over, and then he's got all the showers already made, so that we can start welding them things back in and being ready to go with that.
Okay, so you got him as much as you need him right now?
Well, right now, we're waiting for him to come back in to move the drain over. I believe it's either him or one of the plumbers
Okay,
to come in and move the drain over to where it needs to be, and then we're going to lay the concrete, and then they're gonna come in and start doing all that. But yes, he's been in there, he was in there last week for 3 or 4 days,
okay,
tearing everything up. Yeah,
okay. Because I wanna make sure you get him, you gotta get him in there and get him done before you can go to the clean and painting and.
Right.
but, yeah, but,
Sure.
the biggest issue the only reason why I'm really sitting here is what Jeff just asked about, because I was up front told that we were gonna do all this, and then when the smart walk guy came in there, I started talking about, well, let's go up here and look at this, and they're like, that's not even on scope, and then I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? it's
The
not
older
on the
part?
scope? Yeah.
Yes, the
okay.
oldest
And
part.
then he was very, saying, well, that it's not even gonna be included, and I'm like, well, then, why are we having these meetings with you guys? Why am I telling you guys all these different things? And it's not, and he's like, well, and I'm just gonna flat out tell you, I know you said that you've talked to him, but he was very adamant about, we're not doing anything up there.
Well,
And the guys that are coming in, I'm gonna tell you right now, when the guy that's in charge thinks that they're just gonna come in and snap these things on for our plumbing, that's not gonna happen. They were very adamant about that too, that it's not gonna be a walk-in and we can snap this in. We've got old stuff in there that's gotta be taken out and new stuff put in.
okay.
And when I first seen, cause I thought the jail was gonna be done first, and now I'm looking at it, the jail's third on the list here, which I'm not trying to put us above anything else, but I'm here trying to help these guys get this back open, cause if we don't open the new and the old, they're still gonna be paying, you guys are still gonna be paying for 10 or 15 inmates to be sitting in other county jails,
Okay.
which
Well,
was
that's
not
part of
the
the
aspect.
reason we're gonna have that thing again tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm just,
I'll try to get a hold of Ari.
Yeah,
I'll
we need,
attempt to
that
do
is really, I mean, I thought he needs to understand that is like 3 weeks ago, we needed to start
Okay.
working on this, okay?
Which, there's some understanding that this is a fucking mess.
Well,
to start
right,
with.
because I
So-
mean, I jumped back and forth and back and forth and back and forth for quite a while with him. And
Now,
finally,
what they should have is they should have that scope, because originally, when we were first lining out this project, all that was part of it.
They don't have to recreate it.
Right,
Right.
there's not, building from scratch, they should have all that to go. I
right,
would imagine, I'm all for it, go ahead and not only just for the reasons Jay laid out, but the fact that, cost-wise, that change order, I can't imagine is more than $30,000. I mean, it can be a huge change to things. I mean, I don't mean to throw around $30,000 if it's nothing, but in the scope of the overall project, it's a very small percentage.
And it
right?
needs to be done yesterday.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
I talked to him on December 21st, and he said, no problem, we should be able to get a number over to you Monday, which would have been in December, but I guess over the holidays,
It's now the 13th.
Right.
my
Well,
concern would
he
be
may have forgotten.
that
obviously.
if those are the issues they're going to incur, that we don't let them fold that into the change order. Meaning the plumbing, if they're scoping it, that it's gonna be, X amount of hours for the job, and it turns out that it's 2X or 3X, that they don't fold that into some sort of change. I'm not saying that they would, but it's something I would be very cognizant of as we're going in and putting in a change order.
Okay.
And it sounds like Ori needs to have an attitude adjustment for a few contractors. Am I
Yeah.
incorrect on that?
I will tell you this, and I know that Jeff was over this morning at the courthouse, and the guys that are over there, they're frustrated right now, because their exact words were, it looked like a sixth grader drew out the schematics of what they have, because trying to figure out where they're gonna get their tools from to where they have to have them, looking at the schematics they got, they're gonna have to cut through things instead of being able to move things. And I don't know if they've said anything, I don't know if you were sitting there or not all year, I don't know if they've said anything to you, but all I know is that what I heard is that they're very frustrated. and-
Sycamore?
Huh?
Sycamore?
Whoever's, I'm not even sure
Sycamore.
who the group is that's over there.
Sycamore. It's
But
Sycamore, I
They're,
just wondered.
they're
who the
frustrated
contact.
about
We need to
some
get
of the
Ori over
things,
here.
Okay.
some of the things that the guys that are coming in to work should have already been here, but they're saying, well, our parts aren't in yet, and they're like, wait a minute, you've known about this for a while. This should have already been done.
Okay.
But I do know that they're very frustrated. When they came through the jail the other day, they were frustrated, looking at things. And one of the guys was walking around, and I walked over to him, and I could tell that he was one of the guys that does something, because he's looking down at the ground, and you can see him bawling his fist up and getting mad. And I'm like, man, what's going on? He goes, this is not what we were kind of disguised as, or should say, discussed as to what we were gonna be looking at. It's something totally different of what's going on. So they're frustrated too, and they haven't
Okay.
even started yet.
All
So
right, we need,
I'm
we
just
know what
letting you
we-
guys know, which is another reason why that I was sitting here, because, you guys all need to know this, and, nothing against the guy that's coming in here telling you guys what's all going on. It's easy for me to sit there and say, oh yeah, he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do that, and so on and so forth, but the guys that are actually coming in here doing it, you know, our guys.
So
that
we
are-
got something set up for tomorrow, you say? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, but we need to get Ori in here.
Oh, that's
Right.
separate deal. We need to
Yeah.
get,
Okay.
Rock all
I mean, we got
Got it.
severe problems that we need to nip in the bud
Got
then.
it.
See, I wasn't aware of all of that.
I wasn't either until I walked in this morning.
Right, all right, I
and
wasn't
these guys
either.
were
So we
talking
need
about
to-
this other stuff.
We need to nip this right away.
Probably, yeah, Ori and this Chuck Hernandez.
Right.
He's the engineer on the project,
Well,
so.
we need to get them,
Right.
everybody's gotta be on, you know, and Ori needs, and Chuck needs to respond to us on those issues
Okay.
right away.
Like I said,
That
it's
you
first,
asked him
first I've
about
heard
it.
of that. So,
I know, but
I'll-
on the 21st issue really bothers me. When you
Yeah.
asked him and said he
Said
was
he'd
gonna
get
be
back
back
with
to
me.
us on Monday, the 23rd, we should have had that.
Right.
Then we wouldn't be dealing with some of these issues.
Were you at that meeting they had last week?
I wasn't back yet.
Okay, so was both Ori and Chuck at that meeting?
They both weren't. Chuck was. Chuck ran the meeting.
Ori.
Ori was not there.
Okay.
Did you get answers to
You
your
want me to tell you more
questions?
about that?
Yeah, go ahead. 'Cause I
I'll
could-
tell you who was there. Smart Watt was there, Chuck. Electrician guy, I don't remember his name, he's out of around St. Louis. And then the other three guys were Hanson people. Circuit clerk, judge, Jay, sheriff, myself. And he handed out the schedule that I presented to you. Of course, this is just a slight modification of a few days change in schedule. But he made it all sound like we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and all is good. And we gave Hanson a key to the courthouse. Sycamore, not Hanson.
I was going to say, all right.
Let me back up all the way back. Substitute
Sycamore for Hanson.
Sycamore for Hanson. I don't know why I was
Okay,
getting
that sounds
airport
a lot
in my
better.
head. My bad. It's Sycamore.
Just
They have the
concrete
key,
it all.
and they've been hauling all kinds of boxes of lighting in, and it's starting to look like a work zone in the basement.
Okay.
They've been walking around between the basement and upper level and my office, looking, trying to decide how they're gonna run something. They may have to cut a hole into something.
Was that
Is that the
discussed
heating,
at the
air
meeting last
conditioning?
week?
No, it wasn't. This is
Okay.
since the meeting. Then it was, okay, we're gonna get ready to go. And then next thing you know, they're, you know,
The first thing
Sycamore-
they should have done was picked up the phone and talked to Chuck.
All right.
That's what they should have done instead of complaining to everybody.
Now, they haven't complained to me, but
Well-
they have been in and they acted like they weren't real sure how they were gonna proceed.
Okay.
Then that is what Ori needs to know and Chuck needs to
Right.
know.
Are they up there today?
Is who up there?
Sycamore?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Now, I can't speak for the public health, but when we got done at the courthouse, then their party moved to the health department. And so I don't know what's going on over there.
Sycamore has worked with Janet for years. So, and I think they all are pretty much aware of what her needs are. I'll check with Janet and make sure that she's knows, is aware of what needs to be done there, but when we were talking about what needed to be done, they knew and she knew what needed to be done there.
And we need that kind of report at the courthouse and the jail.
All right.
I mean, we've had some sort of level set with Smart Watt as far as what we're trying to accomplish vis-a-vis the jail and things like that. Like, they understand kind of the priority matrix here, right? Like how that is the most timely, and that's maybe the thing that needs to be the most nimble. I just wanna make sure that we communicated that.
Now, which
we
one needs
understand.
the most time?
Anything.
Well, so when it comes to all these projects, right, I understand that it's about 4 months worth of work.
Okay.
Right? Inside of that, we have the priority of getting our jail ready to open.
Right, you're saying the jail then. Okay.
Right.
And
Needs
so,
the most
you
timely,
know, there are,
yes.
and that from a time perspective, right? Money wise, other things like that, that changes things. But as it pertains to the construction schedule, the jail is our priority, and that's, if we need to move things around for the jail to be open on time, that, at least in my mind,
Right.
that's where we need to be. And so if we can communicate that to Chuck and Ori, then if it hasn't been already, we need to reiterate.
And if we have to have a little meeting with them,
You say beating or meeting?
yes.
Jay's on board.
Bring the chains, man.
Are we,
Yeah, and I pretty much had said that to Ori, that, you know, I think we want the jail to be the priority, because that's where.
right,
that's
we're
where
under the
we're-
gun there.
Right.
Well, and it's a perfect storm too, because that's the most question marks we have, that's where the changes are gonna happen, you know,
Right.
and so it sucks, it's hard, but that's what we need to.
And if he'd gotten back to us with some of those figures, we could be a couple
And I
weeks
don't
ahead
think
of
it's a
time.
big deal, because that was included in the original scope. All he's gotta do is
Yeah, we know where.
tell us what that.
Well, it is a
motion
big deal. I'm not
was. Right,
disagreeing
I
with
understand
you.
what you're saying.
Even the conversation is hard, yeah, so, yeah. Yeah.
Is this common smart lot? Remember, have we ever asked any other places that have gone through smart lot, if they have any trouble?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
so
we did
got-
that before we selected.
Okay, all right, just wondered.
I'll see what I can have by Wednesday,
By tomorrow.
or tomorrow.
John had to leave for a dental appointment. Carl, do you have anything?
Well, I know they purchased a van last week to transport, 8 passengers? You can haul 8 prisoners,
I can hold 9 or 10.
can you?
Yeah.
So that'll help, because I know there's been times like when we go to Coles County, they had to, take 3 squad cars.
Well, last week we had to take 14 people to court by 9 o'clock in the morning. So we were driving back and forth and back and forth and back and forth getting people.
And was it already outfitted with a insert?
Cage? No, we don't, I'm trying to figure out how to get a cage in there. I've already figured out how to use the van without a cage for the time being. I'll take my officer with me, and he'll drive and I'll ride passenger, or I'll drive, he'll ride passenger, and we'll leave the front seat open. And we'll put everybody else behind in the next 3 seats, and we'll be able to accommodate that for a little bit. So,
You still have problems with female prisoners transporting?
no, I've got our female that she's working second shift, and, you know, she's had some family issues this last week with her mother having congestive heart failure, so she's been off for a couple days, but I've told myself and Dee, who are pretty much, between he and I are pretty much doing all the transporting, that if we have a female and the officer can't stay, that one of us comes in, so there's 2 of us to do a shakedown of her, and then we've been taking her to Clark County, which that's getting to be an issue with me, but I'll deal with that. That's between myself and them down there, but they go down and then they'll do the strip search down there and so on and so forth, and then they'll take her in. But I'm not really having any issues with anything like that, if that's what you guys are questioning as far as the females go. No, so.
And we've also got bills from all the 3 jails where we've got people.
Yeah.
And since the jails shut down through the month of December, I came up with a figure of $44,000. $44,000.
That's all in with transport and everything else?
That
That's
is
just
just
that
for the
housing.
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 But for Clark County, we don't have the full month of December. We've got 3 weeks of December, but that's basically just the females, so it won't be a large amount.
And I don't know if we're getting bills, because like right now, there's an inmate that's sitting in Clark County that was a Clark County inmate until this morning.
Mhm.
So, then that's one of those things that, there was an inmate, Connor, that they held him for 5 or 6 days. But they voluntarily said, we'll hold him.
Mhm.
Because, I went down to go get him, and that's another thing that because the sheriff doesn't talk to me, and I've put calls down there and he won't return my calls. So that's fine, but when I went down to go get like the inmate Connor, I said, well, I'm gonna take him and I'll just bring him all his stuff, and they're like, oh no, we'll keep him.
Yeah.
When you got 30 empty beds sitting there
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah.
But I can't take anybody else down there other than a female. You know, that's frustrating to me because
Yeah. You'll have to,
20 minutes away,
right,
but, you know, that's one of those things that, you know, I just want to make sure you guys are aware of, because I've said something to Jeff about it, that if they send us a bill for this inmate, it better only be for the days that we actually have him,
right.
not the days that they voluntarily said, oh, we'll keep him.
No, you can do follow-up on that,
Okay.
yeah.
You're keeping track.
Oh, yes, I
And
am.
you're
I'm
signing
keeping
off
track.
on the bills.
Well, I haven't, that's the other thing, because that was the thing that I was wanting to talk to you about. I did get the bills from Crawford County. I have those. But I've never received anything from Coles County, and I've never seen anything from Clark either.
Right, but, another thing, we're gonna approve most of these bills, but the one bill from Coles County for the month of December, it just came in Friday, and
Okay.
I'm sure you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
I got it, the secretary gave me a copy of it when I was in there Friday
Okay.
afternoon. But probably we're gonna have to do it in demand check on that, cause, it's got Friday, so.
Okay.
Okay, but no, I do
But
keep
you,
track of.
get with Jamie, cause she's got copies of all those, and she can get you copies of everything, and you can check your
Okay.
records and make
Alright.
sure everything's
Okay,
up to
Yep.
snuff on it. The grievance,
yeah,
when is that
It's not. The
on
the
that one
union
jail?
called and asked if there was gonna be a change in our position,
Okay,
and we said no. Our attorney said no.
okay,
Well, do we have to, do you guys, meaning, do we wanna still have a meeting? And,
you should, because you need, not that I'm interrupting you here, but you should, because that way you can give your discussion to him face to face.
we would say nothing. We were advised not to say anything. Okay? So, basically, Rick is, their attorney have talked, and Rick is simply going to write up our position, we'll have it before it's sent, and then the union will base their next, move, which would be if they wanna take it to grievance.
okay. We need to, if Jay can stay after our meeting for a few minutes, we need to go to executive session to talk about personnel and
That's
labor
fine,
negotiations.
I thought we would, yes. That's why I
Let's-
didn't really wanna discuss
Yeah.
this, yeah.
Let's, do that after.
All right.
We've got another issue we gotta talk to Jay
That's,
about.
that's fine.
Okay.
Anything else, Carl?
No,
How about you? Bud?
Nothing, big headache.
Derek?
Sam, take it away.
Mine's a lot less
Jeez,
stressful.
did you bring some medicine for everybody?
No,
I'm
I
not
want
sick.
that
In a
here.
pestilence in
That's
here.
one thing I don't
There
want.
we go.
As
Oh,
you
one of these,
can, all of you
yeah.
guys have your reports in front of you, all the way through December 31st of this year. As you can see, December's numbers, we were down a little bit, 129 911 calls, averaging 4.1 a day. Our response times remained under a minute for 911 calls. Transfers were also down for the month of December, only 27 emergent transfers out of the ED and 17 non-emergent, which are back to nursing homes or back to their care facilities. One fire standby, no deaths, 30 refusals, 4 public assistance rides, and then 10 PR events with 1 intercept, no innovation tracking. If you have any questions about your report, the second page of the
Make the,
report is where we went.
To make a run, they refuse transport. How do you charge them? You charge them the full rate?
We don't get to charge them if they refuse care.
You don't charge them at all?
Nope.
If you treat them and don't transport them?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Just grab a little something nice on the way out.
Yeah, right.
And the sucker.
Band-Aid.
You cannot charge a patient until they are loaded in the ambulance and the wheels turn 1 full rotation.
There's somebody there watching.
Get the chalk out.
It's like the wheel.
Stop and a half rotation. Would have to be forwards.
Doesn't say that. It
They
says
got
1
Drew
rotation.
Carey, Drew Carey is there making sure it goes red.
Got the little chalk on it.
It's not funny, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. The second page is where we went on our
questions?
911 calls. Does anybody have any questions for me?
No, I thought it was nice. You offered a service on New Year's Eve
Mm-hmm.
for Drugs.
less than.
For people, well, it keeps us safe, you keep them off the road, so,
You'd have saved one accident.
right, that's right. Oh, that's good.
Thank you. Augie?
Whoa, hey,
Oh.
hey.
Our
no.
4th ambulance is in, it's going through all of its preparation to get inspected. We had a lofty goal of February 1st. The state is holding us back on that, so we probably won't make February 1st, but it will be up and operational in February.
And then, I think they were covered, I think, in the last meeting, but, so the, bids go in, or, sorry, the, what's the word I'm looking for, Jeff? The meeting on Friday about the, airport. Help me out, state, what are they doing, letting?
Letting.
Jesus, thanks for
Bid
that.
letting.
I got it. For the, refurbishment of our, parallel taxiway, a little bit more, so, we'll know more, by the end of the week. I think that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions? Augie?
Yeah, the big thing that I have is we're going to move a polling place out of Wentz School and put it into the Paris First United Methodist Church. We have moved several polling places out of schools, so this is not our first time around. And the location of the church is obviously it's next to Wentz School, and the parking is more than sufficient. The building is handicap accessible. Walked through it, did a flow study, if you will, traffic flow, and it just looks like it's gonna fit real good. So, questions on that?
I noticed, I was reading the letter, because you told me that you're moving it, then I noticed the letter from the school district wants you out of Memorial also.
Yeah.
And you gotta work on that.
Oh, I gotta work on that also. Quite honestly, the alternative that District 95 presented to me early a year ago was to move into the VFW. And while we all have our own, I was concerned that that might not be a good fit. Yeah, you walk in the same door, yeah, one turns left and one turns right, but I just don't think that's a good fit. And so I made that call. And the other thing I was waiting on, with the legislation that was being proposed, nobody really knew how they were gonna act as far as maybe mandating that schools that voting goes out of schools totally. And so I was hanging around waiting on that. Well, that did not materialize. And so the law still says that if you can, as much as possible, keep your polling places inside schools because they're public buildings and taxpayers are already paying for it and the whole bit. But there are exceptions, and the main concern is child safety, and so I think we can accommodate better just going a block to the east in the church.
So we voting on the Wednesday?
Yes, you are.
And then, so April, they'll be voting in?
March 17th.
Sorry, I throw everybody
That's
off.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're right up against we're gonna be right within still the window still open for us to get it done and get out our letters and our new voter ID cards. And so that's gonna happen Wednesday afternoon, assuming you approve it.
So for Memorial, you're gonna try to find something before the following election, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, yes.
On the east side,
Somewhere on the east side.
About rides, mass transit building.
That's
Well-
what I was gonna say.
That certainly is an option, but I haven't had time to look into any of that.
It's in the works, guys.
Yeah, the other function of all this is it's not cheap either. And, we could get into $4,000 or $5,000 to do that. with all of the, just all the mailing and the paper and the card stock. It's, you know, it's not inexpensive, so.
Well, I think we're moving in the right direction. We have been here for the last several months. year
Yeah,
or two.
after this one, Memorial will be the only one left.
Last one.
Yeah, so, and so far the ones that we moved, it's all been positive, so.
Anything else? The agenda is, I don't think there's anything earth-shaking on there. We've got to accept the resignation of Jeff Goodwin from the Housing Authority.
Then I got caught by a couple of the people on the board that were unhappy with what went on, so. I said, well, we don't really have much to do with it except appointing board members, so.
It's still looking so.
You say there was people on the Housing Authority Board that weren't happy?
No, they were not happy with what we did, how it was presented with the ladies and the people she had as witnesses. They were not happy with those people coming to the board and explaining that they didn't think it was right, that she was relieved from her job and so forth. They thought it was done correctly. Two of the board members jumped me about it, so.
Ain't none of their business.
I said, well, I said, my point was, I didn't realize it had anything to do with it.
Should have invited him in.
It's public comment.
I
Could
did.
have a little convo.
That's all I want, public comment.
That's right.
Okay.
All right,
One's already resigned.
Tell them to quit whining.
Pardon?
Tell them
All right.
to quit whining.
why don't we move into,
Oh, animal shelter. We have a
Oh,
meeting-
yes.
We have a meeting tomorrow at noon.
okay, all right.
Tomorrow at noon, we're at,
Right here.
Yeah.
Why, are you concerned?
You never come to our
You never
meetings
go-
anyway.
You don't even like dogs.
Yeah, you only like animals.
I do like dogs.
You don't like cats.
Mine died last month, the
Oh,
poor
well.
little thing.
Hey, I got,
I take it back.
I got 5 cats, need a
So I'm
cat.
looking for a little, I had a Bichon Prix that,
Oh.
Let's hold that thought. We need to move.
I'll make a motion, we move into executive
I got
session
5 cats.
For what reason?
for discuss personnel and union negotiations.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
And he seconds, Led seconds, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We'll move in a couple of minutes.
I got 5 cats, are they,
Anything else to come before the meeting this morning? Or I'm sorry, or a study session? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Derek moves, Andy seconds, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, we are adjourned.